For years, Marvel slept on the X-Men. We don't know why they slept on the X-Men other than the presumed theory that because of the Fox deal at the time, when X-Men was still owned by Fox, Marvel Comics decided they wanted to take a lesser approach with the X-Men. Basically, stating that, oh, the story still things, they still have their significance, but can the stories now we're telling not really matter? That was the prevailing viewpoint for a number of years. And it led to some retcons that people disagree with, like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver not being Magneto's children, even though that was an establishment for decades. But because they wanted to linger it more closer to their MCU counterparts, even though one died, and they seem to be retconning it back into them actually being mutants. And in the movies for the MCU, as it's revealed in some Wakanda files, is that they discovered some genetic weirdness regarding the Scarlet Witch, revealing that she may in fact be something else. And the power and the stones, the Infinity Stone, only awakened her powers. While that mystery still has to yet to be lingered more onto, we'll probably see that with WandaVision. We are going to look at something that was so desperately needed for the X-Men. My fellow Neo-reality audience, we are looking at the entirety of an entire saga, an entire era of new X-Men. New stories, new characters returning from the dead, all the insanity that comes with it. Hickman came back to Marvel when it was looking like he was probably going to go to DC to go ahead and work on Justice League, which would have been actually kind of cool. So, he has revealed that this will be his last major Marvel project, as all the other stuff he wants to do for Dream Projects are all at DC. Therefore, we must wait a couple more years to see his DC chronology and see the Hickman universe of the DC lore. But we're focusing on what is now his final hurrah for Marvel, the Dawn of X initiative. Dawn of X concluded recently with the X of Swords event, and that sets the stage for the eventual Reign of X. We are going to look at all of Dawn of X, and then we will look at X of Swords, Ten of Swords as is also known as. Then we will go to Reign of 10 or Reign of X. This is a tale of conspiracies, of lies, of deception, of national politics, of international politics, of space cosmology politics. We are going to tell the tale of the Dawn of X saga by Jonathan Hickman and his X-Men team. And we are going to start off with the biggest project he's ever done yet. House of X, Powers of 10. And all it has to do to make this happen is retcon one character. One who was not a mutant. But we wouldn't find that out till later. My fellow Neo-reality talented fans, we are going to look from all sides, not just from Hickman's writing, but from all the other writers. We are going to cover the entire Dawn of X saga. Welcome to Dawn of X, Pax Krakoa. Welcome everyone to House of X, Powers of 10. So as you've previously seen in my past videos, I have covered a ton of some of the Dawn of X stuff. Aliens, Fallen Angels, I covered that entire run. This will not only just cover the Dawn of X stuff going on, it will also recover a whole bunch of videos knowing what we know now as I go ahead and read along and everything and give my thoughts on the way as with the compelling artwork, the writing, and we're going to start off this tale telling the entire tale of House of 10, Powers of 10, and House of X. And we start off with issue 1. with a quote from Professor Xavier. Humans of the planet Earth, while you slept, the world changed. We cut to a bunch of Krakoan pods with the reveal of living Corpishu, and one of them looking like Cyclops, whose eyes are beaming out, with Charles Xavier looming over them, wearing his Cerebro helmet. To me, my X-Men. The house that Xavier built. 5 months ago, Krakoa. 4 months ago, Winchester. 3 months ago, the blue area of the moon. 2 months ago, Mars. 1 month ago, the Savage Land. 3 weeks ago, Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago, the Jerusalem habitat. To now. In these artworks, we see the Storm, the Beast, what it looked like to be the Beast in the Savage Land, and more of the X-Men and the New Mutants getting together and planting fields of flowers all over the area of like the Blue Moon, like the blue area of the moon, Winchester, the House of Xavier's Institute for the Gifted, the Savage Land, Washington State, one of the Krakoas. Oh, and it turns into a living embodiment of habitat life. Ambassador, you look tired. How was your flight? Same as yours, I'd guess. Unexpected. Charles Xavier decides to deliver a telepathic message to the world, an offer we can't refuse, and here we are. At a habitat I didn't even know existed, recognizing the sovereignty of a nation state I never heard of until 4 days ago. As the saying goes, may you live in interesting times. Well, this is the Marvel Universe, so interesting times are a common thing. Personally, I settle for a little bit of predictability and a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, these things cannot see happening. You're apprehensive. I am. It's the designer drug thing. No, it is a problem. A drug that extends human life 5 years, another that prevents diseases of the mind, and a third that is the most effective adaptive antibiotic the world has ever seen. You say is a problem. I would call it a gift. It's not a gift if you have to pay. Xavier's only offering the miracle drugs to nations who recognize his. Well, that's called leverage. God knows none of us would ever dare such a thing. Trade deals, treaty, the money and power of it. Oh, these are complications, and you are all familiar with. What should concern you is the amnesty. You think so? Oh, I seem to remember something someone said once. Something about appearing to be one thing while actually being another. You're not going to actually quote Sun Sun, are you, Ambassador? Why bother? It's not a war if they've already won. Is that your position or the position of the Chinese government? And I have been ordered, if put in question, to accept Xavier's deal. We see the potential of it. Excuse me, Ambassador. Meet the Stepford Cuckoos, who are clones of Emma Frost, the craziest drug lord kingpin, essentially, of and secret leader of the Marauders later down. We're sorry to have kept you waiting. Please come inside. Welcome to this Krakoan habitat. I'm Ensign. This is Sophia. Actually, Sophia's my human name. I'm actually thinking of taking another. Anyway, we along with our sisters are acting as the temporary staff for this habitat until we're fully up and running. Can I offer anyone something to drink? I'm fine. When will we be meeting with Xavier? Charles won't be joining us today. He is otherwise engaged. I admit, I'm a poor substitute, but hopefully I'll manage. Revealing Magneto, decked in white outfit. Much to their shock, Magneto! Please, Ambassador, it's fine. Follow me. I'll give you a tour. And thus we get scientific details regarding the Krakoan habitat plants, the flowers of Krakoa. The mutant of Krakoa is not just the home of mutants and the seat of their nation state. It is also known the producer of the primary economic resource of the mutant nation, the flowers of Krakoa. In these documents regarding the flower of Krakoa, they go over several aspects of two types, but of 6 different variations. So We got the human drug L, delivery mechanism, fabricated synthesized pill. This flower produces a drug that extends the life of a human for 5 years. If only we could have that. But considering how the state of the world is I'm pretty sure some people won't even want to take it. Though that did raise a question. So if this is the thing that confused me when I like the other ones I could get, but what's just stopping someone from just taking it over and over and over and over? It does, and they could live forever. Like I always wondered that would that actually happen, or would Krakoa reject it? Anyways, we move on to human drug I, delivery mechanism, fabricated synthesized pill. This flower produces an adaptive universal antibiotic, a super drug for humans. Human drug M. This flower produces a drug that cures diseases of the mind in humans. So they have eliminated mental illness. The best. So for mutants, we get gateways. Delivery mechanism flower. This flower grows a gateway, a pathway from where one is planted to its twin gateway on Krakoa. Delivery mechanism flower habitat. This flower produces a habitat. A habitat is a self-sustaining environment, a biome that is part of an interconnected consciousness of Krakoa. And no place. This non-naturally occurring flower produces a habitat that exists outside of the collective consciousness of Krakoa, a place within the island ecosystem that Krakoa doesn't even know exists, a Krakoan tumor. And there's only one no place we've so far seen, but we'll get to that. We get to Xavier's former school of the Institute at the Graymakin Habitat at Winchester, New York. Can anyone travel through the gateway, Mrs. Gray? Hey, Jean Grey, now currently going under her Marvel Girl outfit, which I'm still confused why she went with that. But she explains to the little mutant friend that, to the green mutant, that about the Krakoa habitat and the portals. No, not everyone. Any mutant can, of course. Krakoa recognizes its own, but anyone or anything that isn't a mutant must be accompanied by one, and even then, we have to ask for permission. You see, Krakoa is very protected, and it's always important to have good manners. Okay, here we go. Just walk through, and then we'll be on the island. Incoming Wrench, incoming Sonos Rex, incoming Banshee, incoming Fauna, incoming Marvel Girl. Oh, the interface has the count of 12, Cypher. Can you confirm? And Cypher speaks with the Krakoan eyes, because that's not creepy at all. Checks out with Krakoa. See, I told you it would work, Sage. Last week you built an entire system to manage the traffic of Krakoan network from scratch. And how cool was that? Coded in a language only you and the island can speak, and bioengineered to run on light and not electricity. Yeah, I can't believe I doubted you. It's time to get with the program, Sage. You need to bury all that sinister and replace it with a good old-fashioned hope. The professor has changed all the old rules. The bastard. How dare you enter hope in the Marvel universe? Marvel is a place of cynicism and anger and contempt. At least that's, for some reason, the logic to go with. So Cypher is the biggest player in Krakoa. He's pretty much the voice of Krakoa's representative. But we'll get to that with House of X later down the road. And we've entered a whole new world. Whoa, yeah, that does about cover it. Thus summing up the entire experience of heading to a mutant island that was trying to kill you once upon a time. The plan is for most of the younger mutants to live on the habitat near the lagoon. But there really aren't any rules regarding that, so if you see somewhere else you gotta be, that's perfectly fine. Oh, wow. Look, that's Professor Xavier over there with that hairy guy. Yes, why don't you go introduce yourself? And the hairy guy's name is Logan. And then we see this both fascinating yet weird imagery. So the kids are rushing towards Wolverine, tackling him, and they're laughing with him, and he's all happy, which I'm pretty sure was a shock for everyone, because no one can really imagine Wolverine being happy. While Charles Xavier creepily stares at everyone on Right in Our Souls, where he telepathically contacts Jean where she starts to cry. Welcome home, Jean. You're safe here. We all are. Now we get to some map details regarding the Krakoa in the Pacific. We got House of X, House of M, which is no doubt Xavier and Magneto, a Magna, Abnon Magna, the Arena, another Habitat, Transit, the Oracle, the Grove, the Cradle, the Reservoir, the Wild Hunt, Haunted Carousel. Then we cut to the sun in space. There she is, built on the bones of a planet killer. The Forge is our best hope to survive the coming days. I'm extending the docking collar. She's a Hail Mary for humanity, Agent Mendel, so be gentle when you give her a kiss. Roger that, sir. And contact, the lighting screen, we have a solid lock. Pressure's good. Okay, Dr. Gregor. You're free to board the station, but keep in mind the first ship of Ordicus convoy is approximately 22 hours away. So if that's not too much trouble, let's start with the diagnostics and make sure this place is actually capable of supporting human life before everyone arrives. I'm perfectly aware of Mouse's hierarchy of needs, Ermisa. But I've already had breakfast and just maybe I don't want to waste my entire morning beholden to my baser instincts. Protocol is bold. It's boring, dear. Be bold, I say. Yes, be bold as we risk killing everyone on board because we didn't do the proper safety protocols. Wait. She's engaging the safety override of her suit, sir. Of course she is. This is why we don't have kids. Revealing a white-haired lady. It's about 10 degrees cooler than I like, but I'm guessing that's the environmental controls pre-programmed to support a full crew. The air is fine. Dr. Smith, please handle the diagnostics so Emerson will be able to sleep tonight. Dr. Kane, if you don't mind, take a quick look at the power grid. Let's make sure we're converting all the sunlight that's hitting us good and proper like. I really don't want to die of radiation poisoning. Kamari, you're with me. Understood. So, what do you think? I think mistakes of this scale should take longer than 6 months to build. Truth be told, the Forge would have to be completed sooner, but the machines got the nitrogen and water levels wrong, and we lost everything in the habitat. Turns out our doomsday plans need a bit more flexibility the closer you get to the sun. I'm not surprised, Doctor. Those are the kind of mistakes men usually make when being overly aggressive. Ah, yes, we all hate men, right? We're just scumbags. Not everyone. Actually, you can't blame this one on us, Kamari. As soon as the predictive models forecasted the extent of what Xavier was planning, Orcus protocols were enacted. We were activated, and the automated refit of this station began. Which is odd, I don't see any machines, I see no brothers, I see no sisters. That's because when construction was completed, all the machines were retasked for mining duty. We're going to need the resources so they're on Mercury as giving heavy metals, but don't worry. If we need more, we'll have her build them. Hello, beautiful. Revealing a gigantic sentinel head on the station of Ordicus. Yeah, another way of saying fuck all of you. We're going to go ahead and take over the world. So this is based off of the Doomsday weapon built by Reed Richards during the Hickman run. And so we get more data pages regarding the Orcus protocol. Initial establishment of Doomsday Network based on evolutionary research regarding the extinction level of population density of Homo sapiens superior. See the Crow-Morgan problem by Dr. Alia Gregor. Recruitment of assets in strategic organizations. AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, Shield, Strike, Shore, Alpha Flight, Hammer, Armor, Hydra. Yes, we are so screwed up as a species that we hate mutants apparently so much that we will just go ahead and get the Nazis on board. As well as funding from black budgets and other human-centric financial considerations. Absorption and adaptation of various organizational assets into a next-generation infrastructure. Build for Doomsday. Yeah, I can actually imagine the governments of the world doing that. Operating under the premise that there are 3 areas of concern: population, financial, territorial. Orcus assets established a watchdog program to observe undetected mutant influence. 2 years ago, observation begins. 1 year ago, population alert. Instances of the X gene activation has spiked along with the reemergence of the established mutant alpha types long observed as active in the mutant cause. 6 months ago, financial alert. Long observed shell companies wholly owned by the mutant activist Charles Xavier quietly purchased the seventh largest pharmaceutical company in the world, and recently announced 3 new drugs, which are poised to destabilize that industry and spread throughout global financial sectors. 2 months ago, territorial alert. The mutant nation of Krakoa is established. Orcus protocol enacted. Observations ended. The Cro-Morgan-Megon problem by Dr. Ali Gregor began as a humanitarian research into mutant repopulation following the Genosha genocide, which was an event in Grant Morrison's run where Magneto had a nation of his own called Genosha, which was bombed to hell and back, which resulted in the deaths, like the comic states, of over 16 million mutants. Dr. Gregor postulated that, despite best efforts, mutantdom would not be able to repopulate to significant enough numbers to become the eventual dominant species of Homo sapiens, and are due to factors involving elemental, technological, and specific scientific advancements in genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. What she found disproved her theory. Not only were mutants repopulating, reappearing at a higher rate than expected, but a regression analysis of previous growth patterns of mutants revealed that, if not for the Genosha, mutants would have become the dominant species on Earth within 10 years due to the cascading biological and cultural mutant human positive variables. What the Genosha brought mankind was time that they didn't know they didn't have. Dr. Gregor's new timeline suggests humanity has 20 years left. Yeah, it's sad that humanity is so scared of change that they will just murder men, women, and children because they are a completely different group of people. And we still say we have evolved. The Orcus makeup consists of 31% aim, 24% shield, 16% strike, 8% sword, 7% alpha flight, 5% hammer, 5% armor, and 4% Hydra. Hail Hydra. The director of Orcus's command structure is Killian Devo, age 63, affiliation with Strike. Head of engineering, Zana Gary, age 37, affiliation Alpha Flight. 8. Military command, Walker Kin, 49, shield. Dr. Alan Gregor, 32, aim. Karian Shabadar, 28, Omega Sentinel, affiliation unknown. Damage control, contested storage facility. So I had to look into this. So apparently there was some very important data that went into the possession of damage control, but mainly due to the fact that when Iron Man was out of commission for a time, as in he was in a coma or dead, and Riri Williams took his place for a while, then Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four were gone, so therefore it was like, oh, this sensitive documents was all over the place, so we have no intel. So it got contested between various parties, and they recently came back. So it's a matter of who gets what. Meanwhile, Mystique is going ahead and ordering Toad to saying that, exclaiming, "This has gone south, Toad, and gone south quickly. How much longer?" Well, Beast kills a whole, Sabretooth kills a whole bunch of guards. You think? You think it's easy searching the combined databases of not one but two of the smartest people in the world? Copying what we need and then making it look like I was never here? Well, it's not Mystique. I have limitations, and it's going to take as long as we do. Okay, we can go. You probably shouldn't have wasted the effort making it look like we were never here. Others weren't so careful. I think you broke a few of those, Sabretooth. Yeah, well, they were fragile. Then again, what ain't? That's never a good excuse for recklessness, Creed, especially when the plan calls for us to quietly get in and get out, then lie low before we deliver the data. Now, I think we're going to need a more direct exit strategy. Washington Square? Yes, that's the closest. Both of you, shut up. We got company. And he's blasted from behind. And with the arrival of the Fantastic Four. Would you look at that, Ben? A bunch of no-good thieves taking stuff that don't belong to them. Johnny Storm exclaims. Now, what do we do with no-good thieves? Nothing nice, Johnny. Hey, both of you go on. I got this. That's my bold talk for someone who smells like burnt hell. Here, smile for me. He and Sabretooth locks mortal combat with, and he gets his ass kicked repeatedly. If we don't get out here with the data, this was all for nothing. We had to make the gateway. Should we run? I think we should run. Yes, run. Damage control. While this corporate entity traditionally serves in a quarantine or rebuild capacity, damage control also operates as the archival unit of government-contested metahuman machinery and technology that belongs to missing, incapacitated, or deceased individuals where either a clear chain of custody does not exist in or the items in question pose an existential threat to the United States. Current inventory and damage control consisted storage facility is made up almost exclusively of advanced schematics and disassembled material created or owned by Reed Richards and Tony Stark. And what were the level of security items? Level 5. Soul's Anvil, Soul's Hammer, the Bridge, Iron Man Mark 5, 6, 7, 8, Rescue Mark 1, Rescue Mark 2, Anti-Proton Sling, Multiversal Beacon. In the recent past, both Stark and Richards have gone to great lengths to ensure that technology does not fall into the hands of entities like Damage Control. With a normal avenue of evasion, leaving control of the intellectual property to each other, failed when Reed was missing for a prolonged period of time and Stark was presumed dead. Right to all current material are being contested. Yeah, Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four were in space, fixing the universe that they broke, and the Beyonders broke, and Doom broke, and they had a crisis of their own. Stark was in a coma, and a hologramic computer, and was trying to make himself a real boy. I really don't get how that happened. And well, anyways, one of the Stepher Cuckoos goes ahead and begins the tour. If you look around, you'll see we have now left the habitat in Jerusalem behind. This gate leads to this hub, and through this hub we can reach any number of other habitats and gateways, each one on a piece of larger interconnected Krakoan ecosystem. How do you know which door leads where? I won't lie, at first it was easy to get turned around. Familiarity helps, but just to be safe, we asked Krakoa to grow some signs so no one would lose their way. See? Am I supposed to be able to read that? Of course not. It says nothing. It's gibberish. It's certainly not Russian, English, French, or Canadian, but it is a language. Ours. It's Krakoan. And in every mutant who lives among us has it telepathically imprinted into their cerebral cortex the day they arrive. So you made your own language? I read J.R.R. Tolkien and was inspired by him. Of course we did. We cannot create a distinct culture without it. Make no mistake, that is exactly what Charles Xavier is doing. Come on, let's go through here. As you can see, Krakoa is not limited by distance, or elevation, or even environment. Excuse me, I don't mean to spoil the grand tour, but at some point we have to talk about the military aspects of all this. The inherent advantages of being able to move an army at any distance without being seen as well. Let's just say you throw out a couple thousand years of military strategy. People are going to have problems with this. Oh, don't worry. We got the Nazis to deal with. Because you rather be buddies with the Nazis than ever be friends with a mutant because reasons. Where you see an instrument of war, I see an unassailable refuge. That's quite a difference. Some would call that semantics. Either way, it's an advantage. There's never been a mutant war ambassador. We never conquered a people, stolen their lands, or made slaves to the vanquished. That's our real advantage. Excuse me, when are we actually going to go to Krakoa? At this point, Krakoa is as much an idea as it is an actual place. But if you mean the main island itself, we won't be going there. Why not? You have heard Charles Xavier's offer. Mutants are the evolutionary inheritors of this world. All of it. But instead of claiming it, we are giving it to you and keeping only a small portion for ourselves. The island, you see, is ours and ours alone. Man is not welcome there. We accept all mutants, except for filthy precogs. We will not negotiate with precogs. Meanwhile, chaos reigns. Ains as the Fantastic Four beating the crap out of Sabretooth, while Mystique is blasting Johnny Storm and Toad makes the escape. Creed, we're leaving! Quit your around and let's go! And the team escapes except for Creed. He gets smashed into the wall of a barrier. I asked you to show up, Sue. How'd you know where to cut them off? It was actually pretty simple once you identified them. There was really only one place that could heads up, Reed. The gate's active again. Someone's coming through, revealing Cyclops. Ah, how wonderful. The Richards family. And you, Ben, I hear you got married. Mazel tov. Ah, thanks, Slim. And of course, and everyone else is doing fine, doing well. You know, just normal fireworks, Cyclops. Yes, like our happy marriage that has certainly never been having issues in our entire lives. Mostly because my husband learned his lesson. But we're pretty sure this is going to be reversed eventually in a few years when they no longer care. What would life be without little surprises? So, shall I take Mr. Creed off your hands? But we just caught him. Why would we do something like that? You're a smart man, Dr. Richards. I know you know what amnesty means. I do. I also know Sabretooth broke any number of laws in the last hour, including no small number of injuries to guards, and a high probability that some of those injuries are significant, possibly fatal. Are you really offering amnesty from that? It's upsetting, I know, but I'm afraid we are. New beginnings demand a wide breath. Then I think I have a problem with that. Intense stare down! Before Cyclops complies, fair enough. I can see you feel strongly. Why don't you keep him? We'll deal with this some other time, some other way. What the are you Jamie Summers? Shut up. Cyclops, this amnesty, the other thing Xavier is doing, what are all of you thinking? My family has spent our entire lives being hunted and hated. The world has told me that I was less when I knew I was more. Did you honestly think that we were just going to sit around forever and just take it? Of course not, but it's really simple, Susan. I believe in what Charles Xavier is doing. Please, greet your son for me. And tell him when he's ready, he has a family on Krakoa waiting for him. I'm sure that won't be retconned out of existence. Because if that did happen, that would be stupid and would lead to a violent outburst of fandoms because, of course, that happens on the internet over fictional storytelling. Even if it's bad storytelling. But I can't, like they would actually erase Franklin Richards' mutant powers. That would be stupid. Right, Dan Slott? Omega level. A mutant and whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undefinable upper limit in that power's specific classification. For example, both Magneto and Forge are the most powerful mutants of their power types on planet Earth, magnetism, technopathy, respectively. But what makes Magneto, and not Forge, an Omega-level mutant is that the upper limit of Forge's measurable powers could hypothetically be surpassed, and in fact has by multiple humans on the planet, while the upper limit of Magneto's powers can't be surpassed in any measurable fashion. No, Omega level is the classification of a single mutant power, while it is common when that mutants manifest multiple powers, only one is normally of Omega level. While Jean Grey is both telepath and telekinetic, she is only an Omega level telepath. And we see the list. Jamie Braddock, Monarch, Reality Manipulation, Quantum, Robert Drake, Iceman, Temperature Manipulation, Negative, Joshua Foley, Bye Bye, Elixir, Biokinetics, Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, Telepathy, David Haller, Legion, Power Manifestation, Magneto, Magnetism, Kevin McTaggart, Protus, Reality Manipulation, Psionic, Absalom, Mr. M, Matter Manipulation, Storm, Weather Manipulation, Exodus, Telekinesis, Kid Omega Telepath, Franklin Richards, aka Powerhouse, reality manipulation at a universal scale. No, Vulcan, energy manipulation, Hope, power manipulation. Ooh, so that's a big power boost there. They're gonna get their asses kicked, aren't they? Omega Protocol. While it is believed that a greater dynamo is possible through collective means, it is the current priority for the mutant nation of Krakoa to protect and nurture its greater natural resource, Omega level mutants. All efforts are to be expanded in order to secure the future of the state. One people, one tribe, one family. The Krakoan habitat in Jerusalem. So, what have we learned today, gentlemen? That in return for recognizing Krakoa as a nation of good standing, you will. No, I wasn't speaking to you. Well, our host ambassador from Israel decided to join her fellow representatives from the Security Council today. She's with them, but not with them. She's also ex-military and doesn't really care for them, or you for that matter, but that's no surprise. As for the others, well, they've been trained to withstand telepathy, just not trained well enough. They're all plants, sir. What? Outrageous! Mai is actually the head of state science office. Both he and the influential members of Parliament are eager to agree to our terms. They see the political and scientific opportunity of amnesty represents. Jean-Pierre Cole is an ambassador, but he bought it with his private sector pharmaceutical money. He'll agree to Xavier's term if we allow him special access to our drugs. It's how they say a win-win. Natalia Volkov is a Red Sky senior operator who would not have never agreed to our terms. It's true. It's even more true now that she knows the others would. Am I right or am I right? If this is what we have become, it might be best if we were replaced. Walter Ripperin isn't interesting. He's an agent of Strike, but he doesn't actually care about any of this. He's just here because he's been assigned to watch. Riley Marshall, who's an ex-Shield and Shore Black Ops agent, and there's some other affiliation, but he's fighting me. Get out of my head. Oh, he also has some weapons of some sort. Would you like for me to do something about that? That's no need. And Magneto disassembles the gun in multiple pieces. I wasn't going to use it. It was for my protection. Of course, that's how it's always starts. Should I show him out? No. Some would be offended at presenting as a sheep. I have learned hard lessons from your kind, so I know the truth. You are all wolves. And it's good that you are here, all of you, as you really are. So you can run home and tell your masters what you have learned. I want you to tell them. Charles Xavier has made you an offer, one full of grace and brotherly love, but one that is also written in stone. It's not a negotiation. Things will be different now. And the sooner you realize the finality of your situation and the inevitability of ours, the sooner you will learn to be grateful for the things we are so generously giving you. Magneto proclaims as he picks a flower from the Krakoan tree. Do you know what you sound like? I do. It feels good to finally say it. So, you summoned us here to Jerusalem to what? Threaten us? That's a promise. It's not a threat, Ambassador. And I summoned you here for this place for wholly superficial reasons. You see, I know how you humans love your symbolism, almost as much as you love your religion. And I needed you to understand. You have new gods now. And Magneto walks away, dropping a microphone and playing the MP3 player in his helmet, screaming, "Turn down for what?" So, yeah. I have a new word for the lexicon of man, Krakoa. And in the future, when you speak it, make sure you do so softly and with proper deference, for we will be listening. Oh boy. So, yeah, that happened. That must have been an awkward conversation. We'll have to see how that goes for them. I'm pretty sure they were pissed. Here's the thing, Charles. It's not a dream if it's real. More McTaggart. The X-Men, Year 1, The Dream. Charles Xavier. The X-Men, Year 10, The World. Professor X. The X-Men, Year 100, The War. Nimrod. The X-Men, Year 1000, Ascension. Advanced humans! With creepy alien eyes staring into our souls. We cut to the year 1 of X-Men. Charles Xavier is pleasantly walking around, and casually liking the scenery. He looking at some birds circling around before seeing a beautiful young woman looking at him. Good afternoon. And the same to you. Are you enjoying the fair? It seems like the kind of thing I should enjoy, and yet, looking at all these people, I know it's just a show for those who need one. A distraction of what's really going on, if you will. Mind if I sit? Please. So, are you enjoying the fair? I am. And it seems like the kind of thing I should not enjoy, and yet, a little parting of clouds, a little shining of the sun, suddenly everything seems right in the world. Having a good day, are we? Isn't that obvious? You have to be blind not to notice. In my case, I was just walking through the fair, past the caged beast and the games of chance, past the fortune teller selling his wares, see the magician, the metamorph, the great sword, and the girl with the 1 foot in 2 worlds. See the tower, the axis, the pillar collapse and rebirth, the monolith of ascension. See the devil, the red god, and the last cardinal of the lost religion. Then at the far end of the fair, I saw you sitting there, and I thought to myself, there he is, what I've been looking for. A strong man. I'm not really that strong, and I wonder why sitting there, under parted skies and brilliant sun, was this strong man smiling so. I was smiling, wasn't I? Yes. Do you want to know why? I do, very much. I was smiling because I had recently had the most wonderful dream of a better world and my place in it. And she frowns. Well, here's the thing, Charles. It's not a dream if it's real. I'm sorry. Do we know one another? Oh, yes. We go back quite a ways. Who are you? Why don't you read my mind, Charles? Read my mind and see. Ah. Oh, we'll get back to that when he has a horrendous mental breakdown. Yeah. Chapter 2, The Last Dream of Professor X. Powers of 10. The X-Men, Year 10. Krakoa. And Toad and Mystique have arrived. Go play, Toad. Much to Toad's chagrin. And while Mystique presents the data file, Owen heads to the House of M. Ah, you're back. Good. So tell me, have you noticed the effect this place is having? Almost overnight, it seems like Krakoa has become a wellspring of hope, a home of dreamers and true believers, a dream that we will be taken seriously by the Marvel editors again. Even I, one so shaped by the cruelty of this world that any skepticism would seem well earned, find myself infected with the idea. Tell me, Mystique, do I dare dream of success? We lost Sabretooth. He did us no favors when he killed several guards. But yes, Magneto, I have it. Well done. Before he can get it, she swipes it away. But I have demands. Do you now? Oh, is helping your fellow mutant not reward enough for Raven Darkholm? No, it isn't. I need more. Yes, I see that. But it's fair, I suppose. We have further demands as well. Really? I'm afraid so. Is helping your fellow mutant not reward enough for the great Charles Xavier? We're building a better mutant world, Mystique. And everyone who would live in it owes something. Then we got to the year 100. Yeah, there's a dead person. His eyes yellow and everything. It was a dream. Our dreams are the same. While you slept, the world changed. Northern territory of the Nexus. This one's dying. Dare I hope for something salvageable from its mind? Or should I set my expectations more towards the human end of the spectrum? Bad news on that front, of course. Of course! The wiping on termination now. Some kind of metamorphic triggers her when they start to flatline. And the other mutant? We know her, Cerebral. Was born in the kennel. bred as a black-brain telepath, a natural Judas. Subversion was written into her DNA. Normal field protocol is sure to fail. We'll have to give her a bath. Oh, let's not give up so easily, shall we? Where's that human integrity that you always are going on about? Maybe its current misfortune is making you feel conversational. Does that sound right to you? Mutant, tell us, what did you and your friends find rifling through the Nexus? Where do they run off to? What? Friends, and the Sentinel giant arise. I see. So you'll be needing persuasion then. As the soldiers go ahead and round her up, and with some of the mutants behind watching the scene. Hold on, sister. I worked too hard to find you. Just leave you now. No, don't you dare. Once I had no name because I was born without one. How much blood did I have on my hands before you saved me? Before you named me? All this was for nothing if you don't make it back. She's right, Rasputin. This is too important. We have to go now. A red version of Nightcrawler is speaking. Just because you were bred to be a coward doesn't make me one, Cardinal. Well, if you want to run, then run. I won't be. And the torturing begins. I am planting the black seed of Krakoa. I'll wait for you as long as I can before I close it on the other side. If you do not come, then I will see you both when the world is made again. Will you pray for me, priest? Of course. My faith is boundless. I pray for all living things. And that's your problem, priest. She charges into battle with the sword that resembles Mandic, and yeah, Rasputin's kind of awesome. You've forgotten that machines have no soul, and that humans lost theirs a long time ago. And she's slicing and dicing to free her friend. Hello, little sister. I want to go home. Then let's do that. I got her, priest. How soon until the gate's fully grown? It's taken root, not long. Hold them off just a little bit longer. I can do that. I was made for it. Nothing's facing her. Metal, plasma. We need backup. I'll call in a tank. Gates open. Let's go. Okay, we're leaving now, and the Sentinel Hands tries to crush her. Before she slices it away with her mighty sword, or of Excalibur, essentially. And oh boy. Weird. Camera's acting weird. And she survives a blast from the Sentinel. Well, with one of the two saying, "Got her! Rasputin! We were drawing with this prisoner hunting party. He subdue and capture the other one. No! No! Oh, no choice now, sister. Leave me behind. Escape. I will die here before I do. Leave, please." No! Ooh, the sinister lie. The mutant breeding program. When the population levels of mutants reached a crisis point and the constant evasion, relocation, confrontation cycle made a systematic mutant propagation impossible, the remaining mutant leadership endorsed and approved the creation of the sinister breeding pits on Mars. Under the expert hand of the chief mutant geneticist, Mr. Sinister, this strategy mirrored the Earth-based Sentinel Hound program, but instead of focusing on interbreeding of mutants with powers that lent themselves to detection, pursuit, and deception. The Sinister strategy focused on mutants with power sets that had more aggressive militaristic tactics. These lost years of mutant leadership followed the almost universal death or disappearance of most senior leaders preceding the fall of Krakoa and Mars. Many believe rampant rumors that the lost years were not accidental, but purposeful. See Betrayal, Chimera. The first generation of sinister mutants were uniformly designed to be divergent copies of singular DNA source with a pure, uncompromised X gene, commonly referred to as fodder inside the breeding pits. These mutant soldiers were trained in the Martian underground until they reached the age of 16, at which time they traveled to Krakoa to defend the mutant nation state until it fell 30 years later. Second and third generation sinister mutants were referred to as Chimera class. The second Chimera generation produced mutants that had DNA composed of two separate X genes, resulting in a mutant with the mostly predictable combined power set of the source materials. The third Chimera generation produced mutants with an amalgamated DNA featuring up to 5x genes. Outside of the predictable failure rate, see outliers, this third generation of Chimeras was universally successful against the man-machine supremacy, and many believe this would be the turning point in the war. However, the fourth generation of sinister mutants suffered a systematic failure. The entire batch of these Omega-based Chimera mutants was produced with corrupted hive mind that was only discovered to be defected after they had destroyed 40% of the remaining mutant population and caused the fall of Krakoa itself. They eventually committed mass suicide, collapsing Mars, Earth, the sinister pits themselves into self-singularity. So we get this sample of Chimera of Rasputin and seeing the genetic traits and powers. And then we get outliners of how the generational gaps continued to decrease. Generation 1 was the failure rate of 0.3%. Then Generation 2 went to 1.2%, 3 to 9.4%, and 4 to 62.3%. Generation 3 had a 10% failure rate where, in spite of their being bred for war, these mutants developed a passive peacetime power sets. Almost all the outliner mutants also had the personality profiles that lent themselves to pacifism of an obsession with creation myths. They also rejected the idea of personal identities and refused individual names. These variants were all called cardinal. The betrayal. The fall of Krakoa and destruction of the Martian breeding pits was directly preceded by the betrayal of mutants by Mr. Sinister. Retrospectively, it is obvious that Mr. Sinister was playing a longer game of self-interest that superseded any formal association or alliance. And while the failings of the Generation 4 mutants were clear a design flaw baked into their design, it is now believed that most of the random circumstances that led to the creation of the Sinister program were, in fact, orchestrated by him. The nature of that man, Sinister, reaches far beyond any hope of redemption, making no salvation for the devil himself. Sinister was publicly executed by the man-machine supremacy after defecting. So Mr. Sinister clearly had a great day. The Tower of Nimrod, the human-machine monolith. Look, Omega, it appears as if your faith in humanity has paid off once again. They come bearing gifts. Pray to Nimrod. We seek an audience and require the wisdom of your counsel. Oh, please, there's no need for formalities. We are allies, equal of a kind, and you are always welcome. What do you need, Hunter? Earlier today, we believed that as many as 4 mutants penetrated the Nexus and accessed the mainframe. We do not know how they gained entry, we do not know how they masked their search, and we do not know what they found. At least one escaped, one died, and we captured this one. She was once a hound. Isn't this interesting, Nimrod? From the Selkin Kellen. You are looking at the last strain of mutant produced with our breeding program. A hound. See. Give me your eyes, mutant. I want you to look at me when I say this. I am so sorry for what we did to you. In fact, I'm embarrassed and ashamed at what we did in the name of both expedency and annihilation. We urge you not only to be a slave, but betray your own people. How, in a good and just world, did higher functioning programs like ourselves believe that was ever a good idea? And speaking personally, I find it encouraging that your little litter failed us so miserably. Bad ideas should die a bad death. I find hope in that, and you should too. If it takes 1,000 years, I swear we will endure and erase you from existence. That's the spirit. I love it. It's some bad news, though. This will not be that day of days. Today, you will tell us what you were looking for, and if you found it, most of all, why you wanted it. Do you really think I would do that? Of course, people betray their kind all the time. I can assume standard decapitation protocols failed. Right, but as you know, she was bred to withstand that. It might not work, but I want to give her a bath. See what comes out in the wash. Yes, yes, yes. Perhaps the AI is young, still learning. Paraphrasing the data comes without a clear window of recovery. You could learn what you need up to tomorrow or decades from now when the information is useless. Are you sure? What else are we going to do? And Nimrod, because his name was already a struggle enough to get into, used to, then suddenly acts like a child. Please let me have it your way. Excellent. Prepare the subject. And let go of! Stop! What are you doing? And Rod just frowns, it seems, and just says, I am so sorry for what I'm about to do to you. You see, I built something of a repository of sorts, a monument to understanding the mutant anomaly. But sometimes innovation has a biological cost, and when you add to that unwillingness to let us know all the things we need to, well, necessity narrows our options even more. Soon all these chambers will be full of your kind. Your bodies, and more importantly, your minds, will be submerged in female fluid, fermental fluid, where you will be suspended, distilled down to nothing but data, curated by an AI of my own making, my very own brood. Unfortunately, for one of mine to flourish, many of yours must perish, including you. So as you fade away into nothingness, do try it, find it in your heart to forgive me. You think threatening me is going to make me tell you what you want? I'm not afraid to die for what I believe in. It's a good thing you're willing to die for a cause. Though causes have long seemed to be fatal for you people. And unfortunately, while this is a kind of death, it's not one you can escape from. The Kennel, Sentinel mutant breeding camps. The Salcal Kennel was built to the pinnacle of man-machine assembly breeding program to produce hounds. Hounds, which were mutants bred in captivity to hunt other mutants, were originally designed to present as a subspecies with a dehumanizing affections. These were meant to generate fear and sympathy into their intended targets, but these designs were quickly abandoned after several generations because, being broken independent, they were ineffective hunters with their own kind. However, modified versions of hounds, like the final ones bred in the Salcal Kennel, were created with unreadable black brains and conditioned for insurgence and duplicity. And while the few hounds who were successfully deployed proved to be lethally effective in the majority of them, as they were bred for betrayal, defected in support of their own kind and became some of the mutants' most effective warriors. The kennel was destroyed 10 years ago, along with all the biological and research material. The No Place Hub. I am sorry. I wish I was made some other way, but I'm not. I'm just not capable of violence. If I could trade places with her, I would. But you know that, right? She was gone by the time I was done fighting them. Gone. While you watched. Right now, I think I would take your trade, priest. Krakoa. We saw that there were only two of you in the transit. What happened? Professor's dead. Cybele probably is too. Revealing a version of Magneto, but with lime green outfit. It's a skeletal flaming blue head that looks like Ghost Rider, or a giant plant-based creature that looks like the grandfather of Groot, and Wolverine, because it has to be Wolverine, and due to his immortality. Well, that's too bad. They were both good soldiers. Question is, did they die for nothing, or was it worth it? We've got it. Alright, then follow me. The old man's waiting. Surviving mutants. Total mutant population under the man-machine supremacy. The current established number of surviving Homo sapiens superiors currently believed to be less than 10,000. The vast majority of these mutants are transplants or refugees no longer living on Earth or in their native solar system. Two main colonies, which make up the bulk of the refugees, exist in CR space. The first, Benevolence, is a converted transit station located on the fringe of CR space, where it has long served as a buffer between the Empire and Wild Space, spawning grounds of breeding territory. The current number of living mutant living in the Benevolence is just under 8,000. The second mutant colony is located on the Shi'ar throne world of Chalndal. The less than 2,000 mutants who live there are, by treaty with the Empire, warrior stock for the Imperial Guard. Currently, 6 mutants serve as super guardians, and then 57 were sub-guardian classifications. It has been long whispered in the Imperial circles that Empress Exandria has always had ambitious plans to annex the Sol system, and the mutant guardsmen are being cultivated as sympathetic conquerors as an emolument for Imperial rule. Inside the mutant community, it is hoped that should this come to pass, the surviving mutants can serve as a seed stock for repopulation. Soul mutants. All living mutants in the Sol system are currently citizens of Asteroid K. At the recent deaths of the ex-Hound Sabriel and the Ghost Priest Persil, Oh, the current population of Asteroid K is 8. Yep, everything's bad. We cut to X-Men year 1000. We are losing them. The archive of Nimrod the Greater, the mutant library, and there's nothing I can do to prevent it. He takes out the helmet, which surprisingly looks like the Cerebro helmet, but with gold plating. There's too much machinery floating inside there, and not enough soul to save, let alone copy. The blame is not yours, librarian. It's me. I simply wasn't built to maintain integrity for a millennium. It's no one's fault, Nimrod. You did exactly what you were made to do. You created a collective consciousness of mutantdom, a living database of Homo superior, in order to provide a tactical advantage in a war. Who could have known how pointless and useless that war would be? Who, at the time, could have seen the surprising end of the human-machine mutant war? Homo sapiens. So good to be done with. Are we done with them? Can we ever really be done with the past? After all, that's what a legacy is. And we see something called the Preserve. It's why we keep dinosaur bones around. As a reminder of what this world used to be like, and to remember what we overcame. It's important to keep a record of the great sins of history. Even better to preserve a remnant. Something to point at. And hope to God they never have dominion again. You've forgotten that machines have no soul and that humans lost theirs a long time ago. Rasputin! So, Powers of 10 and House of X. Oh man, this is gonna be insane. We're at the 57-minute mark, so I think I should stop here. We will cut you to the next part of this epic event. See you soon. After these messages.